Well, it's a very warm welcome back to a second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the late kick-off on a Thursday night from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Spurs lead by a goal to nil against West Ham after a header from Christian Romero on 11 minutes. That's pretty much the smallest punishment that West Ham could have hoped for after those first 45 minutes, where the visitors really struggled to create anything, and especially in the first half an hour. Towards the end of the first half, they could have had a couple of half chances. They're on the attack now as they get the ball at the edge of the area. Ward-Prowse looking around for options. Nobody has moved up with him. Now Emerson joins the attack. His attempted cross is charged down by Pedro Porro, and the Spurs will be able to clear their lines with Kulusevski now picking the ball up on the right-hand side, but he runs straight into James Ward-Prowse, and the visitors win the ball back. Maybe this is a sign of things to come in the second half. West Ham just being that bit more expansive. Here's Alvarez now at the left-hand edge of the penalty, going back towards Paquetá. Ian plays it into Ward-Prowse, who played it back to Paquetá, didn't read what his teammate was going to do, and it's eventually cleared by Guillermo Vicario up towards the halfway line. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Tom Wilson taking you through the action. Tom, is this West Ham now trying to change the format of the match, perhaps?
Well, I think they need to, don't they? They didn't show nearly enough in that first half. Going forward, they just had no options up front as well over top for Spurs, though, and here's Heung-min Son.
Yeah, Son taking it down onto his right foot, trying to play it square for Kulusevski, was waiting just beyond the penalty spot there, but the pass doesn't quite reach the Swedish international, and it will go out for a corner kick. I'll run through the Spurs team. I should have enough time before the corner kick is taken. No changes, so it is Vicario in goal with the back four of Pedro Porro, Romero, Davies and Udogie. It's Bissouma and Højbjerg as the two holder midfielders, with Johnson, Lo Celso and Kulusevski as the attacking three, playing behind Heung-min Son. I'll do the West Ham 11 in just a moment. No changes for them either, but we're going to see this corner kick first, just inside the first 2 minutes of the second half. It's going to be an in-swinger from Pedro Porro. That's a very poor corner. It's low, it's flat, it's easily cleared by Soufal, but it comes back to Lo Celso. His ball into the box is headed away by Souček. Back into midfield. Udogie recycling it here for Spurs, but having to go back towards Højbjerg now. Still plenty of Spurs players up here on the inside the box if they can find them from the left-hand side. It's Pedro Porro with the effort. He decided he was going to take the shot on, but the effort goes over the bar. So the West Ham team is Fabianski in goal, a back four of Soufal, Zuma, Ogerd and Emerson. Ward-Prowse and Alvarez are the holder midfielders, with Kudus, Souček and Lucas Paquetá as the attacking three, playing behind Bowen, although we did see in the first half that Kudus was pretty much playing in that number 9 role. Bowen just occasionally towards the end of the first half, but Paquetá did nothing in the first half, and he is back out for the second.
Yeah, we did think he might be replaced at half-time, but whatever has happened, left calf, I think it was what he was holding. He seems to have shrugged that off. West Ham seem a little bit to have shrugged off that first half as well, because they're coming forward again down the left-hand side.
Oh, they are, as Emerson's ball across to try and pick out the run of Jarrod Bowen, but it didn't find Bowen, and in any case, as it turns out, Lucas Paquetá was playing in offside position there as he tried to get that ball to his teammate. A goal has been scored whilst we were in our half-time break in the other game, where Everton have taken the lead against Newcastle in the last 11 minutes of that match. We did see a quick replay of the goal. It was a terrible mistake from Trippier. Lost the ball round about the halfway line. Then Dwight McNeil did the rest, running half the pitch before finishing into the top corner. So if Everton can hold on to that win, that will be a vital 3 points as they look to try and obviously claw back the 10 points that have been deducted.
Yeah, it would be a huge victory against Newcastle, who've done so well this season. But Everton do seem to get decent results at home, and 2-0 up with just a few minutes to go. It looks like they're in stoppage time now. It does seem like they'll get a vital 3 points down there at the bottom of the table. Doucouré
now with a second goal there for Everton just in the last few minutes. So that the remaining minutes of that game are available on our service, as indeed all the Premier League games will be in this weekend coming up. Plus plenty of European football next week as well. It really is the business end of the season, December. Very busy time for players, fans and commentators. Here come West Ham now down the right-hand side with Kudus getting towards the edge of the penalty area, just surrounded by Tottenham players. Udogie it was who dispossessed him in the end. And now Brennan Johnson's dropped a bit deeper as well, just exchanging a pass with Lo Celso before Udogie is brought down by Soufal. I think the referee wanted the advantage, but in the end there was no advantage. Soufal making sure that he brings down his man. And it is a free kick to Spurs, which has been taken very quickly. Pushing forward here now is Lo Celso over the halfway line. He looks up and sees Son in plenty of space, and he's onside as well. Now Son pushing towards the penalty area, being closed down by Soufal. With Bissouma over to Højbjerg, back to Bissouma. West Ham they haven't got everybody back. They have got a couple of players just trying to push a bit further on if they can win this ball back. But for the time being, Spurs are just quite happy to sit with it in midfield. That's a good ball to Son. He does well to turn. Nobody really close to him. And it's with Son again now. He picks out a pass over towards the left-hand side. There's a header down. They're appealing a handball. And Brennan Johnson thought it was obvious. I mean, he was just waiting for the referee, Michael Salisbury, to give a penalty. And, well, what do we think of that one?
Well, if his arms were any more closer to his side, they'd be inside him, because they're so close, narrow down towards his chest and towards his ribs. There's absolutely no question in my mind that's a penalty. It definitely isn't. There's nothing Soufal can do. A, it's at close range, and B, his arms are just straight down. Yeah,
and I say the referee had a clear view of it, so VAR would have to really say that Michael Salisbury has missed something to bring it back. But here come Tottenham now with Kulusevski on the right-hand side, breaking into the penalty area, leaving the ball now for Christian Romero, of all people, who's allowed himself a little bit of freedom to wander into this attack. Now it's with Son. Back to Kulusevski, runs into Emerson. And now it's with Alvarez back over towards Emerson on the left-hand side. A challenge. And that's the first time the ball's gone out of play since that appeal. The referees actually were asking for the Spurs players to wait before they restart. But, well, I'll tell you what, his arm is down. But then, when the ball goes past him, there's just a little dink of the elbow there, but it's still not enough, I don't think, and we have now played on, so they obviously were happy with that. We played on with Bowen pushing forward, and he gets towards the edge of the box, now tees up for Kudus. Kudus' strike, deflects into the path of Bowen, who buries it into the back of the net, and there is no offside flag, and out of absolutely nowhere, 7 minutes into the second half, West Ham United have an equaliser, where after half an hour of this game, you would have said, well, Spurs are going to be 3 up by half-time. They weren't up by 3 by half-time, and now West Ham have pegged them back.
Yeah, Jarrod Bowen, of course it is. That's his 10th goal of the season in all competitions, 9 in 14 in the Premier League. He just stayed alive when the move maybe looked like it was going to break down. It took that deflection on its way to goal, and he was there, and just a simple finish really, but he rifles it into the roof of the net. Vicario stood no chance whatsoever, and he's involved as well in the build-up as well. He does really well to shrug off Romero, and then he finds a teammate and he doesn't stop running, gets himself into a really good position, and it's a good start to the second half from West Ham.
It is. I mean, the pinball that's played there between Romero and Davies, I don't know anything about it. The strike from Kudus deflects off both of them and then pings perfectly into the path of Bowen, who was onside when that strike was made at the edge of the area from Kudus. So there is no way that this goal is going to be chalked off. And Bowen didn't even see where the ball was until suddenly he looked down and it was at his feet. And even though he's more of a left footer there, Bowen, he certainly got himself into position. Vicario was still on the ground from the first effort. And although he gets back up onto his feet, he's not able to do anything, and it's a really good finish there from Jarrod Bowen. David Moyes will be delighted, but Spurs will be absolutely furious. They would have thought that they did enough to put this game to bed before half-time. They've had a couple of half chances in the second half, and I suppose for us, the neutral, this is now the perfect scenario, because an angry Spurs are going to be even more attack-minded now, aren't they?
Yeah, and of course West Ham will be a little bit more confident, having got that goal and started the second half probably the better of the two sides. They'll want to come forward and try and get something more than just a point from this game. So, yeah, this should make for a really, really good remaining sort of 65 minutes. Sorry, 35 minutes.
35 minutes to go until this game. Just over with 54 minutes on the clock. They're into the 5th minute of injury time at Goodison. It's still Everton 2, Newcastle United 0. That'll be a precious win for Everton. They will be out of the bottom 3 this evening with that win. And, of course, they'll still be hoping that at least part of their points deduction could still be returned to them. I do think 10 points is very harsh when you consider that administration is 9 points, and that seems to be a far more glaring financial sort of mismanagement than what Everton have been done for. But a bit of physicality there between Pakisar and Kulusevski. That's something that perhaps West Ham can try and play on. There's going to be more frustration from Tottenham, so just a little flick of the shoulder, just a little nudge of the ball away when there's a throw on, it might just do enough to try and wind some of the Spurs players up.
Yeah, well, you just said, didn't you, angry Spurs potentially, and Kulusevski's already showing that.
Yeah, well, Kulusevski's one of these players that's very quick, I think, to show his frustration, which isn't a bad thing, of course. Some players do certainly use that, the frustration, the aggression levels on the pitch as a kind of rocket fuel to really help them get through a particular situation, win a ball back, or try to help their team. But as it is, Son trying to help his side there with a ball down the right-hand side, which is blocked, and now Bowen is away here for West Ham, and it was the right idea to play that ball across, but it didn't quite find Kudus, and nobody was pushing forward on the right-hand side this time. So Spurs just win the ball back here in midfield, and it's with Giovanni Lo Celso now over the halfway line. Jarrod Bowen, by the way, with that goal, is now top of the English goal scorers in the Premier League. 9 for Bowen, 8 for Watkins, 7 for Solanke and Wilson. That's very good company there for Bowen. It's good to see English strikers getting on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. That it's really good company that he keeps. A couple of strikers on there as well, and that's not Jarrod Bowen's position. So to have got that many goals from wide areas, I know he maybe shifted inside now, but he's done really well this season.
Well, here comes Soufal. He's done really well there, just a ghost past Udogie. Now it is with Bowen at the edge of the area. He tees it up here for Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse to Paquetá, goes for a very, very tame effort. He's got so much more about him, Lucas Paquetá. He's having a poor game this evening, and you just get the feeling that the previous West Ham players there, both Bowen and Ward-Prowse, fancied a shot themselves, but they saw Paquetá in a better position, and he has wasted that chance.
Yeah, to be fair to Højbjerg, he's closed the angle really well, and he's meant that because Vicario's on that near post, he's got to go across the face of goal, but he's almost got to take a little bit of sting off it just to get it through the legs of Højbjerg. It's a tame effort, as you said, when it happened, and yeah, I thought maybe there could have been a couple of shooting opportunities before that, particularly James Ward-Prowse from the edge of the box can definitely hit the target. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there, West Ham.
But that's a warning for Spurs, that if they push too many players further forward, West Ham can punish them. Everton have wrapped things up, by the way. They're still playing at Goodison, but they've got their third goal there, and it's the Portuguese forward Beto. That's a big, big goal for him as well, just to get some sort of scoring form. The referee wanted to play an advantage. There was a foul in favour of Spurs just on the right-hand edge of the penalty area. It was Pedro Porro, Spanish right-back, who was brought down here by Emerson. Yeah, it's just his knees got into the back of Pedro Porro. That's a painful one for him there. But the referee did want Spurs to play the advantage, but they just sort of stopped at the edge of the box, and the referee thought, well, I might as well give you the free kick then, and now they've got a good chance to try and cross this in. Yeah,
especially in such a good position to get the ball in the box. I think Emerson's been booked for his troubles as well.
Yeah, that's right. So the Italian international there, originally from Brazil. Emerson does pick up his booking for that, and he deserved it. I think it was a bit of a clumsy one. We're just hearing that there's potentially a VAR check at Goodison Park for that third goal. It won't matter in terms of who's going to win that game, but I suppose 2-0 against Newcastle is a good result. 3-0 against Newcastle for a side like Everton at the moment will be a fantastic result. So it will make some sort of difference there. Spurs will be hoping that this set piece can make a difference. It's the left foot of Lo Celso that's going to be whipping this in from the right-hand side. There's also another option there in Pedro Porro, but you just feel this is inviting an in-swinger from the left footer. In fact, it's played square across the penalty area for Yves Bissouma to then send a shot towards goal. It's a sliding challenge from Jarrod Bowen that stops that one, and then it's back with Udogie on the halfway line before he plays it back towards Vicario. But it's a wasted set piece in the end.
Yeah, as you said, it was really screaming out for a left footer to go across the face of goal and maybe put it towards that back post. Foul there from Paquetá on Lo Celso. But yeah, I thought he could have done more a little bit there, Lo Celso. They've obviously gone with something that's planned, a little bit more of a routine. And if it had gone in, of course, we'd have said, well, that was really good. But yeah, he could have just swung it in towards that back post. Missed opportunity for me.
Well, here's Højbjerg now pushing forward. Spurs need to start making some more opportunities here if they want to be back in front in this game. Real fight for it on the left-hand side as West Ham look. And for all the criticism that we've given him this evening, you've got to credit Paquetá there. He did really well to win that ball off Kulusevski. And now Bowen does superbly well initially to keep the ball in play. But then as he was getting away from Pedro Porro, he forgot about Christian Romero. And in the end, he's dispossessed by the Argentine. He's with Romero now in midfield for Tottenham. He finds Højbjerg at the edge of the area. His ball into the box, flicked up in the air by Souček. Back at the edge of the area now, one back here by Emerson to Paquetá. Well, that's a terrible challenge there from Pedro Porro. That's going to be a nailed-on yellow card for the right-back. And I'm not really sure what his reasoning is, because it's such a pointless foul, so far away from any danger. It's deep inside West Ham territory. He's just left one on Paquetá there. And when players do that, it just makes you wonder, why did he even bother doing that?
Yeah, it's really unnecessary. He's had a good game, Pedro Porro. He got an assist. He's not, as you mentioned, Paquetá's not been in the game in this opening hour. He's not had anything to do. We've not really seen a coming together between the two. So it's a real question mark, real bizarre one as to why he's left one on Paquetá there. Maybe he's just making sure that he doesn't get back into the game, but maybe that'll rile him up now and maybe make him do something.
Yes, absolutely. This could be the rocket fuel that Paquetá needs, and if it does turn out that he has got a bit of an injury because of that, or his injury's getting worse, then to say they've got Benrahma and Fornals who are desperate to get on and try and show something in this game. Remember a few years ago doing commentary of this game where it was Lanzini that came off the bench and scored an absolute worldie in the final minutes to give West Ham. It was a famous win that day, wasn't it, that West Ham got at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But here we're coming up to the 60-minute mark. It is 1-1, and it's Mohamed Kudus now pushing forward for West Ham down the right-hand side. He finds Sofal, whose cross takes a big deflection. Vicario tracks it, but it's already off the pitch before he can get near it. So West Ham have a corner kick, and with it being 1-1 now, they're very much in this game.
Yeah, very much in this game. It's the same place where we saw the opening goal come from, in the corner on the right-hand side, the far side. And imagine it'll be a decent opportunity. Again, James Ward-Prowse will be taking it, so it'll be whipped into a good area. Souček's up there from the back, Agard's up there, Zuma's up there. Alvarez is lurking around in and around the box as well. Not seeing too much from him in this game. Alvarez, of course, the position lends itself to maybe having a little bit of a quiet one. Maybe he can get involved here.
Well, it's going to be an outswinger from Ward-Prowse, and there's plenty to aim for inside the penalty area. As Tom just mentioned, he's put a bit of height on this one. It's just headed down. It got a flick off Augerd, but then it's going to be kept alive here by Emerson. His ball into the box. Again, Augerd with the touch. He's not able to get it towards goal, but then Ward-Prowse with the ball in from the left-hand side, and that takes a deflection. And Vicario had to watch that by the near post. It's out for a corner.
Yeah, he forced a save from the Tottenham goalkeeper there. He was sort of unsighted by the deflection. It was whipping, and it's one of those where I think it's maybe going to go out, but you can't really risk it, especially with so much spin on the ball. And Vicario has to dive across and just make sure that it does go out for a corner and doesn't stay in. And it will be James Ward-Prowse to take again.
It is. It's going to be an outswinger here from Ward-Prowse. He puts a bit of height on this again. That's a really good header from Ben Davies. Just at the edge of the 6-yard box. Guides that one a long way from the penalty area. Now Sofal floats the ball back into the box. And it's a strike from inside, just outside the 6-yard box. And it would have been a check 1-2 there with Sofal picking out his fellow countryman Souček. But in the end, it's a great save from Vicario. And also, more importantly than that, it's that Souček is actually... what is he offside? He is offside, although not by much, but he was always offside.
Yeah, he was always offside. He sort of went unnoticed. A couple of the West Ham players did, because Tottenham's backline had moved away, and they were having a look on the right-hand side where a run had been made by Jarrod Bowen, and that allowed a little bit of a dink over the top towards Thomas Souček, and it was a good volley from close distance that was needed saving, and it was a good save.
But I'll tell you what, great play there from Udogie. It looks like West Ham were going to win possession back there inside the Tottenham half, and Udogie did superbly well just to flick that ball down the left-hand side before Spurs were able to start a counter. That counter has now been stopped around about the halfway line by pretty much a deliberate foul there from Paquetá. It wasn't much effort to go after the ball. He could see that Lo Celso was going to turn him, so I thought, well, you can turn me, but I'm not going to let you get past. It's I'm assuming it's a booking for Paquetá. We've not had the graphic to confirm that, but it should be really. It's very much a deliberate foul there from the Brazilian. Spurs have taken the free kick short, and it's Lo Celso trying to play that ball in towards Heung-min Son, just at the edge of the area. Doesn't quite reach Son. It's out for a throw to Tottenham down the left-hand side, and just safe. Still no confirmation. It looks as though Paquetá's he's surely not got away with that.
We couldn't see, obviously, could we, on the monitors that we've got, but can't imagine he will have done. Maybe have to wait and see and give it a couple of minutes, but
yeah, well, for the time being, no confirmation as yet, but as I say, Spurs will use that free kick in any case just to try and take the sting out of those last few minutes of a West Ham attack, and it's now Spurs trying to get back to what they were doing in the first half, where plenty of attacking possession at the edge of the West Ham box, as Kulusevski can't keep the ball alive for Spurs. It was Paquetá trying to move out for West Ham, playing it back to Emerson, who runs straight into the trouble in the form of Højbjerg and Lo Celso, but does well to evade both of them. Now it's down the right-hand side. Souček finding Sofal, and now it's with Kudus, who he could have tried to play it forward, instead of which he plays a pass back, which is actually eluded all of his teammates, and it ended up like a great through ball there for Spurs, but it doesn't quite reach Son. It's gone back to Fabianski, who's not the best at kicking out there, as he's just proven. Scoops that one up in the air, and Spurs have it back inside West Ham territory here now with Højbjerg. Over towards the right-hand side for Kulusevski. 4 or 5 to aim for inside the penalty area. It's with Lo Celso. Back to Kulusevski. Edge of the area now. Kulusevski getting towards the line. Can't quite get away from Alvarez. Now it's played across towards Udogie. Lo Celso again. Teeing it up for Udogie. No effort towards goal though. Bissouma now back towards Højbjerg. And Spurs just getting a little bit bogged down here around 35-40 yards out. It's with Yves Bissouma.
Keeping the ball nicely, Spurs, but with no real end product. who've been pegged back by West Ham, and they just can't seem to break through that final back line.
Well, they can't, and just as we say that, Bowen is able to get himself in the way and win that ball back for West Ham, and then it was such good play initially from Sofal to find Kudus. Kudus tried to keep the move alive by back-heeling it to Sofal, who then could have played it back down the channel for Kudus, but unfortunately the back heel wasn't quite accurate enough, and Spurs have it back here now with Giovanni Lo Celso over towards Brennan Johnson. Not seeing as much of Johnson or Son in this second half, as Spurs now move it over towards the right-hand side. Bissouma to Højbjerg, now to Kulusevski, whose ball is straight into the arms of Fabianski.
Yeah, it could have done better there, Kulusevski. You can see in the build-up they were taking their time, and then I think when it opened up a little bit, they almost rushed it. Kulusevski, it was probably a cross-come shot. It wasn't really too much of either, was it? And it was comfortably collected in the end. I think they're going to go with a different option because Richarlison seems to be stripped and ready.
Yeah, he was one. It seemed to me like there was another substitute just behind Richarlison. We couldn't quite make out who that was, but it looked like there might be two Spurs players getting ready to come on here on around 66, 67 minutes. Udogie now wins the ball back at the edge of the West Ham penalty area. But according to the referee, there was a foul. There was a lot of injury time at Goodison Park, but it is all over. West Ham have beaten Newcastle by 3-0. Just a confirmation of that. And Spurs, as you mentioned there, Tom, they're going a different way. They certainly are going a different way. They are taking off Pierre Højbjerg to bring on Richarlison. This will mean that Lo Celso goes back into that sitting role now, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he does go back into that sitting role, but he is more of an attacking option, isn't he? So you'd imagine this is a slight turn of the dial from Ange Postecoglou in terms of attacking output, and it'd be interesting to see. Oh well, we say that because Lo Celso is now coming off as well.
Surprise. I mean, I was sure that means that we're going to surely see another creative midfielder being brought on here in place of it. It's Ollie Skipp, so that's an interesting one, really. He's sort of taken off. He's a creative midfielder, a central midfielder, and a defensive one, and he's replaced them with a striker and a defensive midfielder. So it's a slightly. I'm surprised by that one, I must admit, because it's almost like Spurs have strengthened their defensive midfield, but they've taken away potentially one creative avenue. As a ball comes in from that free kick, there's all kinds of bodies lying down inside the penalty area. And I think it's Fabianski who's felt that the most, but he's the only one down, and it looks like there's a problem there for... it looks like Olgerd's in trouble as well.
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit of a collision between the defender and the goalkeeper, and if you're a Spurs fan, you've got to wonder why the referee's blowing his whistle, but I think there's just too many bodies down there. Fabianski comes out, I think he gets a shoulder in the face from Souček, and then he also his arm goes through and connects at the back of Olgerd, and then...
Yeah, I think he might actually catch a bit of Ben Davies as well, but he's managed to pick himself up now, Fabianski. I was going to say the Polish international, but he's actually retired from international football. A little bit frustrated by the previous manager, using him more as a... substitute goalkeeper, so he decided that he was going to concentrate on his club football. That there was an object thrown on the pitch. That's why we had a bit of a break in play. Kurt Zuma handed something to Michael Salisbury, who's then handed that to the fourth official and to the sort of the stadium manager, the on-duty manager. So potentially something being thrown there from the Tottenham end towards a West Ham player, maybe. We hope not, but it looked like that's what they were sort of looking into there.
Yeah, they definitely picked something up, didn't they, and handed it to the referee, Michael Salisbury. And we do hope not, but there wasn't too much commotion afterwards. So
no, it may just be that they spotted it and then say nobody was hit, certainly. So that's certainly a good thing, as Spurs on the attack now with Davies down the left towards Heung-min Son. Back into the middle now for Bissouma. Over towards the right-hand edge of the penalty area now for Pedro Porro. Options to cross it in. Goes back towards Bissouma. It's with Pedro Porro again. Edge of the area, trying to get a cross in. And that's a very awkward bit of defending there from Olgerd. I mean, it stops the ball reaching its intended target, but it very nearly goes out. It very nearly goes in for an own goal. It's just going to be a corner kick. And with that, good time to hand over. We're at 69 minutes. It is Spurs 1, West Ham 1. And here's Tom to take us through to full time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll pick things up with that corner. Pedro Porro raises his left arm, and then it'll be an outswinging one from his right boot. It's headed away at the front post, only as far as Ollie Skipp. He heads down to Bissouma, back towards the corner taker. Porro, cross deep towards Richarlison, gets his head on it. He can't direct it goalwards. He's so unfortunate not to hit the target there. The goal was gaping. The right-hand side of Fabianski's goal was wide open. I think it's his first touch since coming off the bench, and he just can't quite get enough purchase on it.
He can't. I mean... as I say, he's diplomatic of yourself there, Tom, to say he's unlucky. I mean, he should really hit the target. He has got a defender just on his back, so foul is perhaps just cushioning him slightly as he's jumping for that ball, but really, from that sort of distance, if you're a Premier League forward, you've got number 9 on your shirt, and you're heading the ball from 5 yards with no one really marking you, you've got to get it on target.
Yeah, it's inches wide of the post. And he's back involved again here because he's picked the ball up on the right-hand side. Good challenge, though, from Emerson, not only to win the ball, but then to knock it back off Richarlison and win his team a throw-in. 70 minutes gone, Spurs 1, West Ham 1. It's a throw-in for Emerson on the left-hand side. Just waiting for options. A couple of changes then for Spurs. Of course, Ollie Skipp and Richarlison on the field. None yet for West Ham, despite a potential injury to Lucas Paquetá. He remains on the field for now. Ben Davies has picked it up for Spurs. A little bit of pressure on him from Jarrod Bowen. He's forced left towards Ollie Skipp, and then he goes down the line to Heung-min Son. Inside to Yves Bissouma, just inside the West Ham half. Building nicely here, Spurs. Plenty of bodies forward. Richarlison raises his arm in the air and then makes a run. The goal scorer for Spurs opts instead to go square to Bissouma, but it's a poor pass from him, and West Ham could pounce on this and create a counter-attack, if not for some really good defensive work from Spurs. 4 or 5 bodies back. And Kudus is just, well, he's surrounded really in the end by Spurs defenders. And they've done that all game in terms of winning the ball back as soon as they've lost it. And it's no different there. And they'll build comfortably yet again. Yves Bissouma, who gave the ball away moments ago, plays a comfortable ball to Pedro Porro. And then back inside. It's a heavy touch again. Yves Bissouma again making a mistake. This time he doesn't pay for it. Jarrod Bowen was lurking just behind him. But he manages to recover himself and finds Udogie, who in turn finds Richarlison, and then back towards Yves Bissouma. Comfortable pass from him this time to Kulusevski. Right inside now for Pedro Porro. And they're just keeping the ball nicely here, Spurs. It's a long spell of possession for them. But as we've seen in the first half, and a little bit in the second half as well, these tend not to lead to too much. Ben Davies tries to change that as he picks out Heung-min Son. He goes down the line to the underlapping run of Ollie Skipp, back to the Spurs captain, Son, and then back to Davis. And then Son makes a run down the line, instead goes inside. It's good football this from Spurs, keeping the ball nicely. Christian Romero thought he was lining up a strike from distance, instead goes to Pedro Porro. He thought better of it. He goes for a cross towards the front post, chested down and then cleared away by West Ham. And after all that long spell of possession, it doesn't come to anything. And they've got the ball back, and I imagine it'd be some more of the same.
Well, this is the problem for West Ham, is that Spurs really it's almost like they've flicked a switch and now they are in attack mode again. It's very difficult for West Ham to get the ball. And here comes Spurs again with Pedro Porro going for goal. Normally I'd criticise him there for saying he should have crossed it, but it was a good idea to try and surprise Fabianski with a shot from a crossing position. Yeah, they've not had many shots, long build-up there, and nothing came from it. But they did get one away, and they might get another one away here. It's a cross from Johnson, cleared away though by West Ham. Nervy moments there for the defenders of the away side, and then there's a simple foul on the left-hand side. Emerson using his experience just to get his body in front of Kulusevski. Wins himself a free kick just to take the pressure off the away side. 72.5 minutes gone. It's still 1-1. Just see a replay there. Fabianski, it was a save that needed to be made. And he's made a few this evening. He has. He's as I say, perhaps a little bit of a critical point in terms of the goal, but he has made a few good saves. That was at his near post, but he's still got to get good, strong arms across it to make sure it doesn't surprise him. Ange Postecoglou, I think that if you'd have said to Spurs before kickoff on Saturday that they're going to get a 3-3 draw with Man City, with the huge numbers Sunday I should say, with the huge numbers of players they had out injured, they would have been delighted. But this evening, based on how Spurs have played, they'll be disappointed with the draw, and it could even get worse than that because there's a mistake and it's off the post, and it's going to be Ward-Prowse to tuck it into the back of the net. What on earth is going on at the edge of the Tottenham penalty area? But all of a sudden West Ham lead. All of a sudden West Ham lead indeed, and it was James Ward-Prowse with the second, and in the second half it's been all Spurs in terms of possession, but West Ham have scored 2 goals and they've really turned this around on the home side, and you've got to say it's potentially not really deserved from West Ham, but Tottenham have done what classic Tottenham teams do, and they've capitulated a little bit, not taking advantage of the possession and the chances that they've had, and they've paid the price. Jarrod Bowen involved again, but it was a mistake, wasn't it, at the back from, it's a combination really between Destiny Udogie and the goalkeeper. Well, there's already issues there with what the goalkeeper's doing. I mean, for a start, there's a professional foul from Vicario because he's trying to deliberately use his hands to stop a back pass. So already he's put himself into all kinds of hot water with that. And that would have been a potential VAR nightmare if the goal hadn't have been scored from that. Does the keeper get a booking? Is it an indirect free kick? It would have been get the rule book out. But from there, it's Ward-Prowse who goes for the strike. He hits the post. I think Bowen was worried about being offside, so we make sure that he's out the way, and then Ward-Prowse tucks it in himself.
Yeah, I think if that's me, I missed that second one. I just sky that over the bar, even though it's an open goal.
But yeah, absolutely. My left was just for walking and running as well. There's no way I could hit a football with it properly, that's for sure.
But James Ward-Prowse does finish it off, hits the post, comes back to him, and then he lays it through. And
well, Vicario, I mean, the amount of lip reading we can do, and obviously broadcast, is obviously limited. But just looking at Vicario there, he's just asking, what was that ball? What was that pass for? Why did Udogie even think it was a good idea to play the ball back to his keeper like that? It's always going to be a byproduct of every team having, playing out from the back as part of their DNA. You're going to get these moments where you see players just do very, very unsuspecting things to try and keep the ball low and try and play it back to the keeper.
Yeah, even the best teams make mistakes such as that, but Tottenham have paid the price on this occasion. James Ward-Prowse with his third Premier League goal of the season for West Ham. Also chipped in with 5 assists as well. It's been a great signing since coming in from Southampton. And you'd imagine now, 15 minutes remaining, that Tottenham will be fighting and clawing back to try and get something from this game, a game in which they looked so comfortable for so long, especially in the first half. And Postecoglou looks on, off-tube independent studio-based commentary, and both managers right on the edges of their technical areas. And it'll be an exciting remaining 15 minutes, you'd imagine.
Well, certainly from Spurs' point of view, they'll be trying to get back into this game. A game they should have had out of sight after about half an hour. They should be 2 or 3 up by half-time. They were only 1 up at half-time, and now with 40 minutes to go, they find themselves 2-1 down.
Ben Davies crossed towards the box. He's going to drop for Johnson. He gets a strike on goal. It was never troubling in truth. It was a tame effort that rolls wide of the post. He's not quite been at it today. The Welshman, he had a couple of opportunities in front of goal. It was good work from his international teammate to set him up, but he was unable to convert that chance. It's only going to be a goal kick.
It's been a crazy sort of just under 10 minutes. When you think that Richarlison came on 67 minutes, and then by 74 minutes we've got Ward-Prowse scoring the goal that puts West Ham 2-1 up. And just a few minutes before then, of course, from 5 yards out, there's a great chance for Richarlison, and he heads it inches wide. It could have been a very different situation in this game. Yeah,
it could have definitely swung the other way. It could swing more in favour of West Ham because they've got a ball over the top for Jarrod Bowen. It's a poor touch, and he might have gone down injured there. He seemed to sort of roll his left foot over the ball. He seems to be holding his hip flexor by the looks of it. But Spurs play on through Ollie Skip into Johnson, and then on towards Pedro Porro, waiting for options, potentially waiting too long though, because that's allowed the claret and blue shirts to come back in numbers. Pedro Porro's got it though on the byline. Crossing opportunity towards the back post where Son occupies it. It's headed away by Soufal. Son's going to pick it up. Tries to go back down the line, but it hits the arm of Mohamed Kudus. He didn't intend it, of course, but he has stopped Spurs from playing, and Michael Salisbury awards a free kick. And a decent opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it arguably is very, very close, but it's the way the arm is out so nonchalantly, and there doesn't seem to be anything in the body to try and stop that. The referee, you can't ignore that. It is a clear handball, and this is a clear opportunity for Spurs now. Just a few yards from the left-hand edge of the penalty area. So it's going to be Heung-min Son with a quick whip ball just to try and get it onto one of his teammates' heads. Yeah,
78 minutes gone. Spurs 1, West Ham 2. Can the home side get back into this one? The Spurs captain towards the front post, headed away, doesn't even beat the first man. Going to come back towards Heung-min Son, who'll pick it up for a throw-in. And there's no one forward for West Ham. Even if they had got the ball into a central position, they wouldn't have been able to pick it up from that free kick. Yves Bissouma with the ball, looking for options forward. Still no changes for West Ham, incidentally, and they've not needed it in the second half. They've turned over the 1-goal deficit, and Spurs came from behind twice in that 3-3 game against Manchester City, and they're having to do it again here. Emerson's got the ball on the left-hand side looking for an option down the line, but he hasn't got one, so he cuts back, and then the ball does come back towards Jarrod Bowen. I think he's timed his run quite well there, and he's got a one-on-one here with Ben Davies. He's just taking his time, though, waiting for options forward. He goes for a cross towards the back post. No one really there to able to head it in. It has stayed in, though, with Kudus. Will he get it back across goal? No, he goes back towards the byline in Soufal. Gets a 1-2, goes back, and there's a cross there, and that's cleared away by Yves Bissouma. West Ham with a decent chance there to get the ball in the box, just unable to convert. David Moyes will certainly be the happier of the two managers, you would imagine. Around 10 minutes remaining. His side are 2-1 up. Soufal's got the ball on the right-hand side, just in front of those travelling West Ham fans by the looks of it. And they're cheering their Czech man on. He's got quite a long throw, and he's going to take the opportunity to showcase that towards Kurt Zouma, headed away by Spurs. Down the line to Richarlison. he tumbles under the challenge of James Ward-Prowse, and the referee is going to go to his book and show the yellow card to the man who scored the second goal for West Ham. And I think he's quite unfortunate to be booked there, because although he's probably going to give it because it's stopping a counter-attack, there's no one up there with Richarlison, and he probably wouldn't have led to much.
He wouldn't have, but then potentially Ward-Prowse, with his experience, shouldn't be bringing his man down in that particular spot, because I think there is still enough, as you say quite rightly, there's enough scope for that counter-attack to be stopped, or even to not even get going before it even fully develops. But Ward-Prowse taking that yellow card, still can't go over the fact we can confirm that Paquetá never got a yellow card for his foul earlier, where he clearly deliberately stops a counter-attack. But Spurs slowly creeping forward now.
They are, with Kulusevski, and then forced back by Alvarez. Good pressure from West Ham just to hold off the home side. Ben Davies picks it up now, looking for options forward. Son's in a lot of room on that left-hand side, but then as soon as he picks it up, Soufal comes across. He goes inside to Ollie Skip, and it's a good challenge there from Kudus to win it back for West Ham. He tries to find Jarrod Bowen. There's a challenge there between him and Ben Davies, and the former comes off the better. Back down the line towards Kudus. Slightly overhit, allows the goal scorer Romero to pick it up, and they can play forward now. Stats on our screen showing the number of chances for the two sides. 18 shots for Spurs to West Ham's 10. 7 on target for the home side, and only 4 on target for West Ham. And one of those off-target ones was, of course, the one that came off the post and then was tapped in by James Ward-Prowse. So more chances for the home side, but the only stats that matter are Tottenham 1, West Ham 2. And the away side have cleared the ball down the line to Jarrod Bowen. He's got a lot of room in front of him with no real help. The challenge there from Romero, sees the ball go out of play. It will be a throw-in for West Ham, and I just feel in the last 5 minutes the energy levels have just sapped a little bit from that second since that second goal went in for West Ham.
They have, yeah. West Ham have got to be very careful not to get into that sit back and defend the 2-1 lead, because if they start doing that, Spurs will sense that and they'll start pushing forward. Ange Postecoglou has only made 2 changes. He made those changes when it was still 1-1. Hasn't felt the need to bring anybody on since then. But again, David Moyes hasn't made any changes full stop in this match.
He hasn't. He has got options on the bench. We've mentioned them a couple of times. Pablo Fornals, Said Benrahma. More defensive options in Aaron Quessel or Mavropanos and Keepr, and Danny Ings is on the bench as well as Mubama and Ogbonna, so plenty of options for him.
More defensive options, really, if you wanted to start bringing some fresh legs on, but perhaps he feels as though his 11 out there are organised, they're sort of at it, and he doesn't want to disrupt that. But here comes Spurs again. Yeah,
they do, with Pedro Porro, tries to cross it, but it's blocked by Emerson. Wastes no time in getting the ball underway again, Spurs, as they've done all day. Keeping the energy levels high. Here's Kulusevski, goes inside to Yves Bissouma. It's just slowing down a little bit too much for Spurs. They're really taking their time. Allows the claret and blue shirts to come back into defensive positions. Yves Bissouma back towards Romero. Just at the top of our screen. Looks like Heung-min Son's struggling a little bit. He seems to be hobbling around on the left-hand side. He is in a lot of room and he has been found, so we'll see if he's able to shrug whatever is bothering him off. He goes down the line instead to Udogie. He gets it back, the Spurs captain. Doesn't look too comfortable as he tries to play a ball inside. It's intercepted by James Ward-Prowse, but then Kulusevski picks it up instantly. He gives it to Pedro Porro. Across again, he's blocked by Emerson. In the second half, Pedro Porro's had... Sorry, it was Paquetá. He's had absolutely no luck. We just mentioned substitutes. None made for the away side just yet, but 2 more going to be made for the home side. It looks like Yves Bissouma is going to be replaced. I think it was
Pape Sarr, isn't it?
Pape Sarr, yeah. And then I think Brian Hill, who was replaced from the starting lineup for this game, he's going to come on in replacement of Brendan Johnson, who, for me, has been a little bit off it, I think, Brendan Johnson today, and Brian Hill offers something different.
He has, yeah. I mean, Kulusevski's not had a good game, but he's seen more of the ball, hasn't he? He's actually trying to get into the game a little bit more. Johnson just a little bit more isolated on that that left wing, I should say, for Spurs, with Kulusevski on the right. But really, it's been this will be a worry for Postecoglou, because his side had everything in this game. Everything was going their way. West Ham just seemed happy to clear the ball to the halfway line in the first half an hour, and now with 6 minutes to go, West Ham are leading 2-1, and Postecoglou and the Spurs fans must be wondering how it's happened.
Yeah, you would wonder. It's been a bit of a capitulation, but they're trying to get back into it here with Pedro Porro. There's a cross across the face of goal, but it's comfortably saved by Fabianski. He's done well there, gets both hands on it, just takes this thing out of the attack for Spurs. It was Pedro Porro with he's seen a lot of the ball in this second half and a number of crosses, and none of them really have hit the mark, and I don't think that's to his detriment. I think it's just options in the box.
No options in the box, as you say. It wasn't too far from Hill there, but it was good work from Fabianski to make sure he gets there first, as Bowen jumps up with Ben Davies and gets called up for the free kick there. I think the referee was considering a yellow card, but just decides a warning is enough, as Spurs have only got one substitution left. Incredibly, with 5 minutes to go, West Ham have got all 5.
Yeah, 5 minutes remaining, plus the added on, and still 5 subs remaining for West Ham. Ball over the top for Richarlison. He could be in here, but it's good work from Fabianski, quick off his line to come and collect. And despite conceding and having a couple of shaky moments in this game, he made a lot of saves, and he's been. If they come away with 3 points here, West Ham, he'll be vital to that.
Yes, he will. He's made a couple of big saves, as you mentioned, and it's been a good team performance from West Ham. I'm not sure anyone sort of stands out as being above a 7.5 out of 10, but there's been about 6 or 7 players who have been at that level this evening for West Ham. It's been a good team performance.
Yeah, one of those is Jarrod Bowen, the goal scorer of the equaliser. Tries to go down the line to the goal scorer for the second goal, James Ward-Prowse, who thought he'd won his team a corner. I don't think he has. He's taking his time to get back into position, which made me think maybe he has.
I think
he has. Yeah, I thought at first the referee did give a goal kick. Maybe the linesman perhaps had changed his mind. It will be a corner for West Ham. It's going to be a more favoured in-swinger for James Ward-Prowse if he opts to cross it.
Yeah, this is where David Moyes' side have to be clever as well, because it's a good chance if they can attack this set piece and get a third, that would be fantastic, but they also don't want to leave Spurs with too much space to go on a counter if the corner kick doesn't work out.
Yeah, Agard and Zuma both up there. James Ward-Prowse does opt to cross towards the centre of the goal. It's bobbling around, eventually dealt with by Vicario. He didn't look confident, but he's got it off the line at least, and here comes Spurs now with Udogie, but it's good defensive work there from Emerson. The first challenge on Udogie, a second on Hill. Recovers the ball for West Ham, and it was a nervy moment there for Vicario. I couldn't see what was going on. I thought it was going to be poked home. It wasn't. As the linesman flag goes up for Jarrod Bowen, it'll be a free kick to Spurs.
I like the fact that Bowen was wagging his finger, and the linesman goes, "Yes, you are. You are." The linesman was just there. And in fairness, I mean, he's not. How the linesman could say that live? It was very tight, but Spurs take it quickly, and here they come.
Yeah, Kulusevski, right-footed cross from him. Cleared away partially by James Ward-Prowse, but only as far as the Swede. Back in the box now for Heung-min Son, trying to find room for a strike. He can't. He gives it to Sarr, gets one away on goal. That's over and wide. And his first involvement is not hit the target from a decent position.
No, he hasn't. And looking at this replay again, I mean, of all the players that Spurs have around the box, this is no disservice to Pape Sarr, but you'd like somebody else to take that effort, right-footed, swinging at it from the edge of the area. And you can see the frustration on the face of Heung-min Son, who looks like he may be the first player to go off it for Spurs, and he's been replaced by the youngster Veliz.
Yeah, he did seem to be struggling around. I think it was around 5 or 6 minutes ago. He was hobbling. I don't remember any real challenge that's caused that, but he has been replaced, and there will be a first substitution for West Ham, and it's the man who's usually off the bench for them, in Pablo Fornals.
Yeah, so their final change, it will be, their first change, absolutely right, is going to be Pablo Fornals coming on here for Mohamed Kudus, who's he's certainly put in a shift this evening.
Yeah, he's worked really hard. He made a couple of mistakes in that first half, but he won't mind as long as his team stay in the position that they're in with all 3 points. Pablo Fornals on the pitch, he's definitely capable of having an impact off the bench. I think he was last season it was that he scored the most goals from the bench for them, and he'll be hoping to do that today, although it's not necessary at the minute. Spurs have won the ball back. There's a challenge off the ball between Kulusevski and I think it was Alvarez on that left-hand side, but they're playing on with Destiny Udogie, but plenty of numbers back for West Ham, as there have been for this entire half, really. Paquetá it was, sorry, not Alvarez. Romero picks it up, gives it to Sarr. Looking for options forward. One of them is Pedro Porro. Is he going to cross? He is. It's not blocked this time, but it is cleared away by Thomas Souček. Only as far as the goal scorer, Romero. He's got Ollie Skip in support. Instead goes square to Pape Sarr. 88.5 minutes gone. Still 2-1 to West Ham. Ball's square now for Veliz. His first involvement sees him tackled, and West Ham could spring a counter-attack from that in towards Jarrod Bowen. It's a poor ball and allows Romero to come across. I thought he'd won the ball there, but the referee's judged a foul and he's been yellow carded. I thought that was quite unfair. I'll have to see a replay perhaps.
Well, let's have a replay. I'm with you. Looking at it live, it didn't seem like there was much in this, but has he kicked out at Bowen? I mean, arguably, he's put his foot in front of Jarrod Bowen, and then Bowen's kicked him and hurt himself. I don't think Romero's done anything wrong there at all.
Yeah, he's unfortunate there, Christian Romero. He's not. He's quite common to get yellow carded, but he definitely didn't deserve that one.
He's only just back from a suspension, isn't he, after that crazy game against Chelsea?
Exactly. Yeah, I think he's Jarrod Bowen's. Jarrod Bowen's not done anything wrong. He's asking for a free kick because he thinks he's been fouled. But looking at the replay, it's nearly a foul by Jarrod Bowen, not on him. Anyway, West Ham have taken it, and they've gone left-hand side to Paqueta. Good work from him to get away from Pedro Porro. And then there's a second challenge from Skip, which he shrugs off. And the ball is in the corner here for West Ham. And we have hit the 90th minute. We'll wait and see how many minutes are added on. Paqueta is unable to keep the ball on that left-hand side in the corner. He's conceded a goal kick to Spurs, which, of course, they take very, very quickly, trying to get up the field, trying to rescue at least a point. Romero inside to Pape Sarr, halfway line now for Spurs. The fourth official has indicated a minimum of 5 minutes added on at the end of this second half. So a chance for Spurs to grab a goal, and they obviously are partial to a last-minute goal in the Premier League this season. Pedro Porro's picked it up. He goes to Kulusevski, left-footed, deep cross from him towards Richarlison, flicked on, but then cleared away by West Ham. Emerson gets the seconds, but it's only as far as Pedro Porro. He's having a little run down the line, goes inside to Ollie Skip. Kulusevski now right hand side, hits the byline, right footed cross. Brian Hill trying to find room for a strike, instead goes to Pape Sarr, gets a strike on goal, it's blocked. There's going to be a challenge here between Bowen and Romero. Neither win the ball, but Ollie Skip picks up the seconds. There's a challenge there from Alvarez on him, down the line to Brian Hill. Referee says play on. Brian Hill, the Spaniard, trying to shift left and right, trying to find room. He finds Ollie Skip, who's back to his feet from that challenge. Romero stayed down though after his collision with Jarrod Bowen. He's back to his feet now as Spurs continue to come forward with Pape Sarr. It's good work though from Fornals to force him away from goal, all the way back towards the halfway line where Ollie Skip's occupying. Down the line to Kulusevski. They've kept this ball for so long, Spurs. Will there be a chance at the end of it? Kulusevski's trying to make one. Dink towards the back post, and there's way too much on that. Goes out for a goal kick, and what a wasted opportunity that was.
Even the co-commentator has to make sound effects with that terrible ball, and it's awful from Kulusevski, and you can see how angry Postecoglou is with that as well, because there's no excuse for that. Kulusevski, if he does crossing training for an hour, he would never put a ball like that in once, and here he's decided to just elevate it past everybody and away for a goal kick, and this will see quite a few Spurs fans making for the exits. Still a full 3 minutes to play here of injury time, and as you would expect now, it's not even a criticism of West Ham. They are just sitting back and trying to soak up this pressure. Confirmation as well that Alvarez did get booked for that earlier challenge.
Yeah, rightly so as well. It was a late one, and potentially Spurs could have just took the free kick from that position, because nothing obviously came of from Kulusevski, but he's trying to make up for that here. But it's a really good challenge by I think it was Agard. Yes, it was. Came across and won the ball nicely. Straight underway though from Spurs. They're getting the ball back onto the pitch as quickly as possible. Brian Hill with it. You mentioned a few fans leaving, of course. Slightly later kickoff than we used to on a midweek evening game, only 15 minutes, but they'll want to make their way home. The ball's in the box for Spurs. Drops for Kulusevski. He can't bring it under control though, and there's a challenge there on Pedro Porro. I didn't think there was too much in that. The referee's awarded a free kick around 20 yards away from goal.
Well, this is a shooting opportunity for Spurs, but still a full 2 minutes of injury time to play. I mean, Kulusevski gets caught by Bowen. How much contact is there on Pedro Porro? There's none whatsoever. That, to me, is just a dive from Pedro Porro, and he's got away with it.
Yeah, he's bought that one, the Tottenham fullback. And if the score stays as it is, Spurs will... either way, Spurs will be in fifth, because they would be level on points with Man City with a win, as unlikely as that is. But Man City got much better goal difference, so fifth is as best they can do this evening. West Ham will remain in ninth, and not too many points off Spurs as well. Only 3 points would separate the two. Pedro Porro bought the free kick, and he's stepping over it. There's 6 in the wall if you include Jarrod Bowen. Pedro Porro, strike from the edge of the box, hits that wall, goes out for a corner. There's frantic shouts from the Spaniard for handball. And the referee is going to wait and see, just to see if anything comes of it.
Well, let's have a look here. We'll get our first glimpse of this replay. Zuma's arm, it does strike him on the arm. Is he putting his arm out to make his body bigger? Is it actually hitting him on the shoulder? And is it of course, it can hit the top of his shoulder, and that's not even a handball. So they may just be looking into this, but... Zuma's looking very surprised. Hopefully it won't be a long decision, because some of these VAR decisions have the potential to really take the sting out of the game with a long check. But potentially this could be a difficult one. It's just a corner, and I think that's the right decision.
Yeah, I think it is. It hits him on the sort of T-shirt line, I think they like to call it. And
now Zuma doing the classic, how dare you even suggest that was a handball? He's getting all angry now, but
he was scared.
No, absolutely. That's the sort of the reaction, isn't it? He's getting that off his chest, but they've got to be careful now, West Ham. It's still a corner kick to Spurs.
Yeah, it'll be taken by Pedro Porro, outswung towards the centre of the box. It's headed on by Richarlison. It's going to drop for Hill inside the box. It's not a shooting opportunity. It's good work from Bowen to force him away from goal, and then all the way back to Papesau. We've only got around 30 seconds of this added time remaining. Kulusevski's picked it up, dinks it into the box. Romero trying to find room for a strike. He gives it to Ben Davies. He flicks it on towards Pedro Porro, but it's good work there from Emerson. Gets away from the challenge. His pass is poor, though. He gives it to Kulusevski. A challenge on him from Paquetá. He goes down, and the referee, he's built one there. Paquetá, he's done really well for his side. Kulusevski just nibbled a little bit too much. We have played 95 minutes. I imagine that's maybe the last kick of the game.
I think that will be, whether or not West Ham need to take this free kick or not. I mean, Kulusevski's down on the ground holding his face. Now, is he holding his face because he's hurt himself, or is he just can't believe that this decision's gone against him? I mean, he's up against, well, he actually gets an elbow full in the face there, does Kulusevski, just about a split second after he gave the foul away, and you can see Paquetá with a sort of a bit of a cheeky grin towards the Tottenham fans behind the goal there as well.
Yeah, rightfully so, because there wasn't too much in that. Kulusevski stayed down. We have played over the 5 minutes added on, but I think we're just waiting for Kulusevski to get back to his feet. I imagine then once the free kick's taken, that'll be all she wrote. It is taken now, and all eyes towards the referee, who puts his whistle to his mouth, and he blows for full time in this one. And despite a dominant first half for Spurs, when Christian Romero opened the scoring after 11 minutes, it's West Ham that come away with all 3 points. Jarrod Bowen and James Ward-Prowse on target for the away side. It finishes Tottenham 1, West Ham 2.